Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Okay. Continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Yatanamane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasitari Shatarne. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 10. The voters adore the so-called leaders only when they promise sense gratification. This is what happens in politics. The leaders, they promise more sense gratification to the public. We'll give you better facilities, we'll give you more money. So then the voters are like, yes, we want to vote for this guy. This is what happens. This is called politics. As soon as the voters are dissatisfied in their own sense satisfaction, they dethrone the leaders. So if the politicians, they don't satisfy the senses of the voters, then they dethrone the leaders, or then they no longer like the leaders, even though they voted for them. The leaders must always disappoint the voters by not satisfying their senses. The same is applicable in all other fields. No one is serious about the problems of life. Even those who are on the path of salvation desire to become one with the absolute truth, and desire to commit spiritual suicide for sense gratification. But the Bhagavatam says that one should not live for sense gratification. One should satisfy the senses only in so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. This is a key point. We only satisfy the senses in so much as required for self-preservation. So we only eat as much as we need to. We don't overeat to enjoy our senses. We only sleep as much as we need to. We don't oversleep to enjoy our senses. Whatever we need to do to take care of ourselves and live comfortably, we do that, but we don't overindulge. Because the body is made of senses, which also require a certain amount of satisfaction, there are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses. But the senses are not meant for unrestricted enjoyment. For example, marriage or the combination of man with a woman is necessary for progeny, but is not meant for sense enjoyment. In the absence of voluntary restraint, there is propaganda for family planning, but foolish men do not know that family planning is automatically executed as soon as there is search after the absolute truth. Seekers of the absolute truth are never allured by unnecessary engagements in sense gratification. because the serious students seeking the absolute truth are always overwhelmed with the work of researching the truth. In every sphere of life, therefore, the ultimate end must be seeking after the absolute truth, and that sort of engagement will make one happy because he will be less engaged in varieties of sense gratification. And what that absolute truth is explained as follows. So if you're hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam consistently, you'll get more of a taste to hear more because you want to hear more of this knowledge because it's so satisfying, it's so relishable. And then if you hear more of Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll care less and less about material sense gratification. If you're chanting more and more and you're doing spiritual activities, you'll get more taste for those activities and you'll lose your taste for sense gratification. So do more spiritual activities, hearing, chanting, etc. Text 11, Vadanti tattva vidas, tattvam yaj jnanam advyayam, brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Purport. The absolute truth is both subject and object. There is no qualitative difference there. Therefore, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are qualitatively one and the same. The same substance is realized as impersonal Brahman by the students of the Upanishads, and as localized Paramatma by the Hiranyagarbhas, or the yogis, and as Bhagavan by the devotees. In other words, Bhagavan, or the personality of Godhead, is the last word of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead, as the sun rays are to the sun god. Less intelligent students of either of the above schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization, but those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth know well that the above three features are of the one absolute truth are different perspective views seen from different angles of vision. As it is explained in the first shloka of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, the supreme truth is self-sufficient, cognizant, and free from the illusion of relativity. In the relative world, the knower is different from the known, but in the absolute truth, both the knower and the known are one and the same. In the relative world, the knower is a living spirit or superior energy, whereas the known is inert matter or inferior energy. Therefore, there is a duality of inferior and superior energy, whereas in the absolute realm, both the knower and the known are of the same superior energy. There are three kinds of energies of the supreme energetic. There is no difference between the energy and the energetic, but there is a difference of quality of energies. The absolute realm and the living entities are on the same superior energy, but the material world is inferior energy. The living being in contact with the inferior energy is illusioned, thinking he belongs to the inferior energy. Therefore, there is a sense of relativity in the material world. In the absolute, there is no such difference between the knower and the known, and therefore everything there is absolute. Text 12. Touch Shraddha Dana Munayo Yana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyanti Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Vrindavan ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai, Shri Narayana Prabhu ki jai. Shri Vrindavan ki jai. Yogadharma Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Okay, let's read from Prabhupada Lectures. But not progress. Tvaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajan apakbo ta. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.717. If he could not execute properly, he could not chant 16 rounds, he could not observe the rules and regulations, or for sometimes he could execute and then again he became slackened. Just like sometimes we see some of our students falls down. So Narada Muni says, Bhajan Abhakto Ta. His execution of devotional service could not be completed. Somehow or other it was checked, it was obstructed, and he falls down again in the clutches of Maya, falls down. There is possibility. Maya is very strong. Maya is very strong. At any moment we can fall down. Therefore we have to keep ourselves very vigilant, strong strength. The spiritual strength is the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra and following the rules and regulations. So how do we get spiritual strength? By chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and following the rules and regulations in the scriptures. Like no illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. There's so many rules and regulations in the scriptures, and they all help you to stay strong on the spiritual path. Then Maya Kanat Mam Eva Ye Prapadyate Mayam Tatam Tarante Te Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 text 14. If you keep yourself strictly in the principles of Bhakti Yoga, Maya's father also will not be able to do anything. No. So there it is said, Bhajana Pakvo Ta Patat Tato Yadi Yadi, not always. If sometimes one falls down without, then Yatra Kwava Abadram Abud Amusha Kim. Then what is the loss? He's not a loser, he's still a gainer. Because for time being, whatever he has done, sincerely serving Krishna, that is credited forever, eternally. It will never be lost. Mind that. Do sincerely, and you'll be never lost. So do your service to Krishna sincerely. Chant sincerely, hear sincerely. Whatever you do for Krishna, do it with full energy and full sincerity. Jai Shri Prabhupada.